Connie, you're the candidate.
Okay. Mine's the marrow. All right. Okay. All right. Do you want to come up and do it like that? Yeah, that's a good idea. Thanks, Connie. And thanks to all these fine gentlemen, I get to go first. So mainly my specialty has always been research in the military-industrial complex and the North American Union. But Connie asked me to write on the Amero, which is going to be the potential upcoming currency of the North American Union. So lo and behold, there's not that much research out there as yet, but I did my best to compile a little speech for you, so I hope you don't fall asleep, and if you start to nod off, I'll throw in a joke or something for you. So the Amero, is it in our future? A man by the name of Robert Pastor recently authored a book entitled Towards a North American Community. Mr. Pastor believes that a super region needs to be created that will encompass Canada, Mexico, and the U.S. into one large area. Robert Pastor isn't just your run-of-the-mill guy. He's the director of the Center for North American Studies at American University. He's also a member of the American Council on Foreign Relations. The Council on Foreign Relations, which I have their annual report, which I get every year, is one of the largest and most influential lobby groups in the United States. This organization is made up of chief executive officers of big business, political representatives, and academia elite. The CFR have now also released their own report entitled The Blueprint for North American Community. Brian Mulroney, our former Prime Minister, sits on the board of the American Council on Foreign Relations as an international advisor. He was helpful in bringing Michael Wilson, his former finance minister, into being the new Canadian ambassador to the U.S., as well as assisting Mr. Stephen Harper behind the scenes in the last two federal elections. In the U.S., Robert Pastor's ideas have now been shared with the U.S. Senate Foreign Relations Committee, in which he calls for the limiting of power and sovereignty of the U.S., Canada, and Mexico in exchange for merging the three countries together. One of his many recommendations was that we would require a new currency called the Amero, which would become the unified currency between the three countries. Other recommendations were this trilateral approach should be institutionalized in a new North American Advisory Council. The Commissioner Council should be lean, independent, and composed of 15 distinguished individuals, 5 from each nation. Its principal purpose should be to prepare a North American agenda for leaders to consider at biannual summits and to monitor the implementation of the resulting agreements. The U.S. Congress should also merge the U.S. Mexican and U.S. Canadian interparliamentary groups into a single North American parliamentary group. The currency union of the Americas is an idea based on the common European currency called the euro. Our hypothetical currency is sometimes referred to now as the Amero. But this has not been the first time the Amero topic has been brought up. In fact, Herbert Grubel, a senior fellow at the Canadian Fraser Institute, first published a book back in 1999 entitled The Case for the Amero. The C.D. Howe Institute, as we know, another right-wing think tank, has also advocated for the creation of a shared currency between our three countries. There are many concerns and obstacles, however, standing in the way of this creation. One major obstacle to the creation of a unified currency is the dominance of the United States in any such union. The U.S. has a larger economy than Canada and Mexico combined, and the monetary policy would presumably be tilted in the U.S. favor. Some economists believe that the Amero would be worth $1 US, thus minimizing the cost of conversion to this new currency for the U.S. All assets, liabilities, and contracts have been assured would remain unchanged in value. However, many economists feel that Canada would not be on an equivalent par value to the Amero. The bulk of trade of Canada, Mexico, and the U.S. will be with each other, and it won't be influenced by external values of the Amero. In 1999, fully 80% of Canada's trade with the U.S. since then has been with the U.S., and monetary union would increase this figure even more. It's almost certain that the proposed North American monetary union will contain provisions much like those contained in the present free trade agreements. They will allow the reassertion of national sovereignty under exceptional circumstances only. These will almost certainly include a procedure by which a country can leave the union, recreate a national central bank, and reassert its national monetary sovereignty. Yeah, right. We know from NAFTA that's not likely to happen. Many people consider a common currency as one step closer to losing our individual sovereignty and independence as a country. So how close is Canada to agreeing to this plan? Well, according to the Council on Foreign Relations report, at the meeting in Waco, Texas at the end of March 2005, President George Bush, Mexican President Vincent Fox, and then Canadian Prime Minister Paul Martin committed all of our governments to a path of cooperation and joint action. Paul Martin even issued a joint statement to announce the creation of the Security and Prosperity Partnership of North America. The creation of this new agreement has never been submitted to our Canadian Parliament or to the U.S. Congress for debate or decision. The Security and Prosperity Partnership of North America is headed by 3 top cabinet officials from each country. Representing Canada was former Ministry of Industry David Emerson, who's now our Minister of International Trade, Deputy Prime Minister, Minister of Public Safety Anne McClellan, and then Foreign Affairs Minister Pierre Pettigrew. Thus, in U.S., it was Michael Chertoff, Secretary of Homeland Security, Condoleezza Rice, Secretary of State, and Secretary of Commerce Carlos Gutierrez. Reporting in June 2005 to the heads of these 3 different countries, the Trilateral Security and Prosperity Partnership emphasized the extensive working group structure that has now been established to pursue in their agenda. They have established over 20 working committees from every aspect of railway, shipbuilding, airlines, monetary, trade, unions. All regulations and legislations are now being decided by committees to amalgamate and integrate the 3 countries together. So is an Amero currency in our future? Yes, unless we can prevent this corporate takeover of our 3 countries for the benefit of big business. And I see only the Canadian Action Party being able to do that for Canada. Thank you.